You're listening to Just Hit Play with your hosts, Peter and Nick Cabral. If you're tired of your stagnant, streamed music feed, then strap yourselves in for an intergenerational sonic journey through Peter and Nick's favorite songs.
Welcome to episode 70 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how you doing?
Doing well. Feeling better than last week. I beat the cold.
That's good.
And yeah, I'm really excited to get into both these songs this week.
Nice. And how's your week going? How's school going? Busy?
Yeah, busy as usual. Things are definitely starting to pick up school-wise. So yeah, just getting back into the swing of things, learning how to be a student again after a summer.
I can imagine.
It's always fun.
I can imagine that must be difficult to wrap your head back around it.
Yeah, it's just learning new routines and everything, but we're getting there.
You know, especially since you graduated, so, you know, technically most people are done at this point. They don't have to ever study again, and here you are going back in.
Yeah, what's wrong with me? That's what I've been wondering.
Okay, so here's my next question. So how long is this program?
3 years.
3 years. And is this it?
Well, for a bit at least.
Okay.
What a lot of people in my profession do is they'll return to school to get new credentials and qualifications after a while.
Right.
But we're gonna wait a bit on that.
Okay.
I mean, I need work experience before going back to further school anyway.
Okay, so you've got your bachelor's, and what program are you doing now? Is this your master's?
It's not a master's. It's technically an advanced diploma is what I'll get.
Yeah. Okay.
And after I write the licensing exams for the regulatory board, I'll be a registered respiratory therapist.
Correct. And then if you go back to schooling, who knows what you'll get after if you go back to school.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope the 3 years are kind to you.
I hope so too.
In our rainy Brisbane studios today is our sound engineer, Darren. Darren, how you doing?
Good and wet.
Cool. Thank you, Darren. Are you ready to get into some music?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so I'm going to go first this week, and this month I've been getting you to listen to something a little bit more esoteric, a little bit more thought-provoking. I've been playing you a lot of hits, and I wanted to move away from the hits as such, and so I wanted to get into music that was a little bit deeper. And I hope I didn't fail you this week. We're going to listen to This Is Hardcore by Pulp. Darren, before we talk about it, Darren, just hit play.
Screen test, take two.
I didn't take her to the motel. She took me.
I'll tell you the unwritten law, you dumb son of a...
Hey, I went to college once, but all they found were rats in my head. You ask any guy in town, ask any bum on Main Street. That's how she operates.
All right, Nick, tell me what you thought about This Is Hardcore by Pulp.
Not only is it hardcore, this is a pretty epic song.
Yeah.
This song just gripped me in its clutches and wouldn't really let go. And it goes for every time I've listened to it since the first listen, which was like, when I first listened to this song, I was kind of blown away. Especially coming from Common People by Pulp, that we'd done that on the podcast.
Yeah.
This song is really quite something. They swing for the fences, and I like it a lot. Like, I just really love the vision of this song and everything that they were aiming for. Simply put, I think it's an epic song, and really got me. Really did.
You're right. They definitely swung for the fences, and it's a killer. Not only is this a great song, this is my favorite Pulp album.
Okay.
It's got some fantastic songs on it. It's one of those albums that I can just go back to whenever I need to. I remember I was having a bit of a hard time, and I got into my car, and this is when I was living in Canada, and I drove from Mississauga to Belleville. No idea why I went to Belleville, but I just drove. It took a couple hours, and then I listened to this album pretty much the entire way there and the way back. It was really a cathartic sort of experience for me. So I've got really lovely memories of this album, this song in particular. Coming like you mentioned, coming from Common People, this is such a different song. And by design, they didn't want to write another song or an album like they had previous to this. So Common People is the album before this one.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that it would have been pretty jarring to hear this song as a single, if it was a single.
It was.
Yeah, it must have been jarring because Common People is a pop song. It's a really, again, well-written, well-executed pop song, but it's a pop song at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call this pop music in the traditional sense. Like, it's not super accessible. It's made with a bit more vision and made to be, again, using our buzzword of the month, more esoteric for sure.
Well, it also came around the same time as OK Computer. So you have two bands that were very stereotypical pop group or alternative music group, and then they released two epic albums, probably the albums of their career. OK Computer being Radiohead, which is one of the greatest albums ever recorded, came around the same time as this one. So that's really interesting to remember, is how these two bands wanted to change their sound completely. Now, the problem with Pulp is that they couldn't go any further. This drugs became a problem. This was their last really good album. They had one more album after this that absolutely sucked, and they got too much into their own heads. But this was it. This was their high point. This is as good as they got.
This is a pretty damn good peak, then, in my opinion. It's just a really great song. It reminded me a lot of some older prog rock songs. Maybe not strictly in terms of sound, but just the unconventional song structure and long instrumental sections. Some of the stuff with like where the guitar gets super fuzzy and distorted, and just in how grandiose it feels. It's a very big feeling song. So definitely gave me some prog vibes, which again I think are cool. I like prog.
Jarvis Cocker, who's the lead singer of Pulp, is a very good writer. He loves to tell stories. Common People had a very typical story that was you could understand what was happening in the song. And again, this with the visual sort of words that he's singing about, it's a really great visual song. And again, he uses pornography as an analogy for what fame does to a person.
Okay.
So he's quoted says, when someone enters into like the music industry or becomes an actor, they're so fresh and vibrant. Then after a year or two, they can just look dead in the eyes. And he sort of uses the porn analogy to talk about fame. So that's what the song's about.
Interesting. That's a really cool connection to the song I'm going to get you to listen to next week, which we'll obviously talk about later. But yeah, that's really interesting themes, and I love when musicians get self-aware about the industry they work in, because there's a lot of messed up things that go on.
Yeah. Well, not everyone in the band liked the song. The guitar player is quoted as saying, "I was never a big fan of the song. I can appreciate that it's good work, but I never really liked it. From the outset, Jarvis didn't want people to expect an album of Common People. He wanted to redraw the boundaries, and recently it's become a case that Jarvis will override everyone else's common sense." So there's some hard feelings from the guitar player, who I guess maybe Pulp at the time was more of a collaborative band, and then they went in a direction that Jarvis wanted them to go into.
Gotcha. Well, I apologize to the guitarist, but I think Jarvis, the lead singer, was right. He was right about this song. Yeah, even if it didn't do very well commercially, which again is just an assumption. I don't know how it actually did, but I feel like this is still a piece of work worth existing, worth being out there. It's just great. And like you said, it's an evolution of the band's sound. If Common People's what came before, this is certainly an evolution, and I think it's always good to switch things up.
Yeah, and you're right. It wasn't as big hit as Common People. There's another song off the last album called Disco 2000, which was also a very big hit. This was nowhere near those two songs in when it came to the aspects of sales. Not commercially. Critically, this is loved. It's on a lot of people's like best of. NME ranked it 166 list of greatest albums of all time. It was included in a book, 1001 albums you must hear before you die. So critically, it was well received. Commercially, it did all right. I think this song got up to number 12 on the British charts. Nowhere else in the world. I think it got up to like 40 or 50 in America, but nowhere else in the world did it really chart other than England, which makes sense. They're an English band.
So the album that This Is Hardcore is from, would you say it's their best album?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It's a fantastic album, and it's not a pop album like the last album. It was a pop album, like Common People, Disco 2000. Those are great pop songs. This Is Hardcore is different.
If you're comparing it to OK Computer, which, as you said, one of the best albums ever made, definitely up there for me.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big comparison to make. So
okay.
May have to give it a listen.
How about this? How about if we swing this way? It was Pulp's OK Computer.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, still though, that still makes it worth a listen though for me.
I agree. It's an amazing album. Yeah.
Anytime something gets compared to an album like OK Computer, maybe not in terms of like raw quality, but just a band trying to make something that good, I'll always still listen to it just out of respect for the effort.
Yeah. Hey, give it a shot. Give This Is Hardcore a shot. It's one of those albums that you can just listen to. I don't think there's a really bad song on the entire thing. It's all just so different and really good. Pulp now are still around. They still do some live shows. I don't think they've recorded an album in a long time. But right now they're pretty much like a greatest hits band. They'll play a live show and just do their greatest hits. I saw them, I think it was at Glastonbury. I think I saw them on YouTube. And that's what they've become. They've become they'll play Disco 2000, they'll play Common People. They'll play all their songs that they've written about drugs because they really like drugs. And this song too, I think it's one of those songs that just will just always be in the Pulp catalog.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
and it's another thing I really enjoyed about this song, and the same as Common People, is the lead singer Jarvis he really nails the singing on this song. Like for me, he sings with so much emotion and really just, you can tell he's putting everything into it, which just again adds to the song, gives it that epic, grandiose feeling. And is that sort of like a common thing for Pulp songs, like just this guy singing his heart out, his lungs out?
He loves a story. He'll loves telling stories. That is a very characteristic Pulp sound of Jarvis Cocker telling a story in a song.
And I feel like that probably allows him to get into character and have like a connection to what he's singing about, because it's some story. He's coming at it from a defined angle, defined perspective. So probably allows him to get like really into it.
Their other big hit that Pulp are known for is a song called Disco 2000. And it's a song written about meeting someone at the year 2000. Remember this, Disco 2000 came out in 1994, where the year 2000 wasn't that far away. So writing about meeting someone, for the year 2000, that was a very common theme back then, especially in the 90s, about what the year 2000 was going to be like. And, the fears of Y2K and all that bullshit.
Yeah. Didn't you guys think like the world was going to end because computers couldn't count to 2000 or something?
Yeah. So what had happened was early on, when computers were being built, they really didn't have a lot of forethought of the year 2000 and that change in clock. So a lot of the early mainframe computers were built with no ability to go past 1999. They would just go to the year 1900. But it was all for naught. It was fine. Nothing happened. The world didn't end. Planes didn't fall out of the sky.
God.
Everything was fine. It was much ado about nothing, as if I may quote William Shakespeare.
Wow. So there was actual panic. Like people thought planes would just drop because of this.
There was a curiosity. There was a curiosity of what was going to happen, I'd say.
Okay.
There was Yeah, there was a lot of people sheltering in bunkers, especially
those sorts, yeah.
especially in some places in America where that's a lifestyle choice. Yeah, there was a lot of things like that happening.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think if I was around back then, my main concern just would have been like, what am I doing? What party am I going to for this millennium change? Not
yeah.
the Y2K stuff.
We had a fun time. Yeah.
Do you remember that night?
I do.
The switchover?
I was hanging out in my friend Steve's house. We had a house party at Steve's place, and I bought a really nice bottle of wine. And his parents decided to get drunk with us, which is always weird when parents get drunk with their kids.
It's an interesting maneuver, to say the least.
Yeah, but it was a fun night. Yeah, no, I enjoyed that night a lot. Yeah,
good.
Yeah, it was a good party.
One last thing I wanted to touch on for this song is the music video. I'm assuming you've seen it, but I thought it's
amazing,
really cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing video.
I saw a YouTube comment say that it's like what Stanley Kubrick would have directed a music video like, and I thought that was very spot on. Just really, really interesting visual style. Great like interplay with the music itself and the song, and just a really high quality music video. Recommend watching to anyone listening.
One of the things that makes this song so epic, and one of the great things about seeing this band live and listening to the song, is how the instruments come in. So the drums come in first, and then I believe it's the horns, and then every aspect of the song just gets blended in until it sort of becomes this sweeping song, and then finally Jarvis comes in with the vocal. So the song builds up very well.
Yeah, and again, that's another aspect that reminded me of a prog song. It's got very good build up, and there's like a climax, and then like it comes back, slowly builds back up a bit, and there's just a really cool song structure. I loved it. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Pulp songs as well. I'd say Common People, because Common People is a really fun, silly, lovely story. But this probably is their greatest song critically. But again, Common People just has a really soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, Common People is just it's a bit more accessible. You can listen to it more often, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm glad you liked it. It's like I wanted to get a little bit different this month and just get you to listen to a few different kinds of songs. And it's going to get weirder next month, because next month is Spooktober. So we're going to get a little bit different next month as well. And for the first song I'm going to get you to listen to next month, I won't tell you what it is yet. It's going to be a silly song, but we'll get into that a little bit later. All right, Darren, what did you think of This Is Hardcore?
Not for me.
Great, thank you, Darren. All right, Nick, let's get into your music.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. This week we've got Crack Sandwich by JID. He's one of my favorite rappers making music right now, and this song is only about a month old, but it's already a contender for my favorite song of the year. Certainly going to be up there in terms of like favorite albums of the year as well. So, Darren, just hit play on Crack Sandwich.
Yeah, look, you can tell a nigga like me ain't never had shit. RP, I miss my dogs like Mike Vick. Zombies in that midnight fog, them boys sick, I'm fall victim to a gun brawl, started over some bitches. Niggas tripping, they taking whatever's given. The irony when a nigga starving, gotta grip the biscuit, jump the fence, empty all the dishes out your kitchen. If you witness it, then click, 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 and they spill the grits, spill the kick, fuck a fair catch, kill him.
Alright, Crack Sandwich, JID, or JID, he goes by either.
Right, okay.
What did you think?
Right. I'd never heard of this artist, so to me this was a brand new song. I had nothing to have any of the songs in the context. I really like the flow. I think his rapping style is really akin to a lot of older style music. I think it's very similar to like an older sort of style of hip-hop. I think what he said, it was really important. Obviously, he was talking about his life, probably in his childhood, growing up. If I discern that from the lyrics.
Yeah, it's a lot about just it's really just about his family, how he and his siblings were raised, and then
right.
Yeah. The whole like bar fight in the third verse is like a microcosm of that.
And you can tell, like I read some of the comments that people were leaving on the song. You can tell he's a well-respected artist, and people love this song a lot. And but I'm going to tell you where the song falls down for me.
Okay, let's hear it.
And again, I know we're talking about art, and it's very personal, and I'm talking about what I didn't like about the song, but this has no bearing on anyone else. Art, again, is a very personal thing, right? So, please take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. I think what lets the song down is the music. It's kind of boring. It's, if you look at the songs that you've gotten me to listen to in the past, Tyler, the Creator, the Outkast song, Travis Scott, the music backing the hip-hop or backing the rapping is very dynamic and interesting. There's dynamic changes, there's tonality changes. There's not that much in this song.
Very, very interesting. See, the last 70 episodes, I've really been trying to pin down which of my favorite rap artists and hip-hop artists you would like the most.
Right.
And so far, the ones you've liked and the ones you haven't had a super favorable first impression of have surprised me quite a bit, I must say. And this adds to that trend. As I completely agree with you in terms of the flow and the writing. JID is fantastic in both those categories. Probably one of the best technical rappers for sure right now. But yeah, it's interesting that you say that about the music. Definitely. I think this beat he picked had the intention of it being a more sparse, minimal beat, sort of to allow the lyrical abilities and rapping abilities to shine. And it reminds me of the song John Woo Flick with 3 rappers from a few weeks ago. Again, same thing. It's a more minimal beat to allow the rapping to take the center spotlight.
And that's the other thing I wanted to point out too. I'm coming at the song with no context of his other music. I have no idea what his other music is like, whether the melody can be complex or simple like this. So I'm really just relating to this one song.
Interesting. Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Yeah.
I think a lot of times when I pick rap artists, because you like old school hip hop so much, or you're so inclined to the older sound of rap, I try to go for songs that are like really lyrically focused, even if they sacrifice the musical aspect. So,
mission accomplished. His flow is fantastic.
Yeah, it's so good. And what I love about JID is he's got like an endless bag of flows that he can just reach into at any time. Line to line, he delivers them in different flows and cadences. It's really, really high level, like technical rapping stuff, and I love it. It's so good from that angle.
It's interesting, modern day hip hop compared to the hip hop that started like in the 70s and the 80s, where you would rap over a record, where DJ was spinning a record. It's so different now because, again, the music being played was very important, where I can't believe he's rapping over that beat, or that beat is so good from James Brown or Led Zeppelin or wherever you get the beat from. So in that sense, it's very different modern hip hop compared to what it started out as.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, older hip hop was just a sample of a record, and then like a basic drum line over it. That's really it. And now it's completely been transformed as a genre, and you have rappers still trying to emulate that old style, like that song John Woo Flick. Those 3 guys, they're really trying to carry the torch for the older style of a sample and drums. It's just such a wide range of music nowadays, and it's crazy to me that rappers like JID or Kendrick Lamar are technically in the same genre as a Travis Scott or a Playboi Carti or a Gunna. It's different music completely altogether, I think.
And I think that's one of the issues that I have with a lot of modern music, is that people are surprised when musicians play instruments. We talked about who's that? Lizzo. people lose their minds when she brings out the flute. I'm thinking, well, she's a musician. Let her play the flute. Like, that's not that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what musicians do. They play instruments. But yeah, I think, you know, the music world has changed completely. It's so very different now, and how music sells and how it's consumed, where, you know, things like that are important now, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mention that, because when I went to the Rolling Loud Music Festival a couple weeks ago, the first headlining set was this rapper from the UK named Dave, who, to be very reductionist, he's basically like the British Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
That's the sort of rap music he makes.
Yeah.
And he headlined a hip hop festival. He's also very popular.
Yeah.
And at one point during the set, he brought out an electric guitar and started playing it and did a guitar solo over one of his songs. And I was amazed. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted, to be honest. Like, I had no idea he could play the guitar, let alone as well as he did, which, to be fair, he was really shredding it.
Yeah.
I was shocked that this guy could actually play the guitar. And then he brought out a piano.
Right, that's fantastic, right?
Yeah, it was sick. It was really, really good. And I could sense everyone around me in the crowd was equally amazed by the fact that he was playing live instruments and rapping. It was pretty cool.
I've been watching a lot of reaction videos on YouTube where a lot of hip hop fans listen to like old music and stuff like that. And one kid, they got a kid to listen to, I think it was AC/DC. And he didn't like AC/DC. He goes, I don't like it when my music sounds like music. He liked like really sort of like computer sounding sort of thing. So he didn't like bands that sound like they know what they're doing, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I kind of relate to that guy, because sometimes I'm in the mood for just really computer sounding music.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I also do appreciate, obviously,
of course.
I love music. I listen to all kinds of music. I do appreciate people that can play the guitar. That's funny though.
Well, if you look at someone like Prince, he could do anything. You know, he was a hell of a musician. He was one of the world's greatest guitar players and singers and dancers. I think the basics and being able to play an instrument, I think, is a lost on a lot of music today. You know, and I
think so too.
It's a different world. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. Yeah. But if you really want to blow people away, learn how to play guitar, the drums, the bass, piano, something where, you know, you're gonna throw, like Lizzo with her playing the flute. You know, she's a fantastic flautist, whatever it's called, and blows people away, and people lose their minds. I think if you want to, you know, be successful, pick up an instrument, become a virtuoso. You know, that'll help you. Yeah,
and I can really just affirm that, because when that guy Dave pulled out that guitar, I just heard an entire crowd go, "Whoa!" A real instrument. It was crazy.
It's funny that his name is Dave. Do you know the Chelsea defender Cesar Azpilicueta?
Yes.
Do you know his nickname is Dave because they found his last name too hard to say, so they're like, your name is now Dave.
Speaking of another funny Chelsea connection, Chelsea defender connection, one of Dave's biggest hit songs is named Thiago Silva.
Oh, that guy. Okay, I do know that song. Yes.
You know that song?
I know Thiago Silva's song. Yes. Okay, that guy. Okay, cool.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. He's a hell of a defender.
He is a hell of a defender. Yeah, and he's got a great song named after him.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Dave. Okay, I know that song. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's one of the things I love about Dave and most UK rappers is their soccer lyrics. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good ones. There's one song he says on the right with the spider, like Wan Bissaka or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, striker's got a high top fade like Marcus Rashford is another one.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's got some good soccer bars.
Cool. Yeah, that's the English side of things has very different contextual music and, you know, what they're going to rap about, right?
Absolutely. Like take JID, for example, in this song, Crack Sandwich, he's got a Michael Vick reference, which I thought is hilarious. R.I.P. I miss my dogs like Mike Vick. Love that line in this song. Mm-hmm. I'm a fucking artiste with the gun. I can give my world peace. I thought that was another good one. Ron Artest, got to be one of my favorite NBA players of all time.
Fantastic player, yeah.
just for Malice at the Palace. That's
Well, he's not a player from your generation, so that's pretty cool.
yeah. Well, I watched a documentary on the Malice at the Palace
Right.
incident,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, he was a good
that's
player.
just awesome.
Yeah.
And he was also a good player, but
Yeah.
yeah, he punched the hell out of that fan, and I
Yeah.
respect him for that.
Yeah, that's old school NBA. Michael Jordan was an amazing player while getting clobbered in his first few years before he started getting a little bit of protection from the refs. Anytime Michael Jordan became a fantastic perimeter player just so he wouldn't get killed into the basket.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So it was a very different NBA compared to what it's like now.
Yeah, very different NBA when fans could run onto the court and try to fight players too.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. No, I'm glad you like Ron Artest. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, and then the fact that he changed his name to Meta World Peace.
Meta World Peace. Yeah.
That's just incredible. I love that.
Yeah. No, it was a good time to be a basketball fan. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's one thing I love about JID as well. The sports lines, a lot of good sports lyrics. I love when he throws those in. He actually went to college to play D1 football and played for 3 years in the States before he got kicked off the team for bad behavior.
Sure.
And that's why he had to pivot to a rap career. But yeah, so he's got a lot of football stuff.
Where is he from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. So another Southern hip hop artist.
Yes. Yeah, he's from the current mecca of hip hop in the United States, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, it's Atlanta is an amazing place. It's got the old world charm of the sort of the South and the Confederates sort of system of government, and there's a lot of African Americans in that city as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite the city. I mean, I've never been, but just in terms of the entertainment it produces, it's quite an impressive city.
The other really beautiful thing about Atlanta too, it's a blue city in a very red state.
Yes,
it's very red. Georgia's a very red state, and you get this tiny little blue dot in the middle of this red. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to briefly touch on JID's backstory, how he got to where he is now. As I said, he played D1 football in college, got kicked off the team. That sort of put a quick end to his aspirations of being an NFL player. So he moved in with some of his friends in college, and they just so happened to be making music. They were rappers. And they formed like a loose hip-hop collective. They released music as a group, individually, just little mixtapes and stuff here and there. Slowly made a name for themselves, and after 7 years they signed for J. Cole's label, Dreamville. Right. So yeah, JID is he's I think the best rapper on the label, on the Dreamville label, and he's just been making great music since that. So yeah, and he's 31 years old, which is actually old in relation to where he is in his hip hop career, which is quite interesting, I think.
Yeah. No, I again, the flow is amazing. His rapping style is amazing. It's really old school. Yeah, and again, let me say that I'm taking this completely out of context. I have no idea what his other songs sound like. I thought I was just a little bit let down by the song. I just was hoping that the backing melody was just a little bit more dynamic. I think I would have loved the song even more, but I think it's just let down just that little bit by the song.
I do get that, honestly, because that would be my knock on the song too, is it's almost a little too minimal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I really just wanted to highlight his technical rapping ability on this one.
Job well done.
Yeah, and I think that it's undeniable that this song shows JID is a great rapper.
Yeah,
he really is, and he just demands your attention, I think, with how well he writes, and then the way his voice just kind of hits your ears. He's really good at both those things.
And obviously the title of the song, Crack Sandwich, it's very provocative. So I wasn't sure if this song was going to be funny or sad or true to life like it is. So you really don't know what what kind of song you're about to get with the title like that. So it's a very provocative title.
Yeah, definitely is. And yeah, it's I'm gonna hit you with some very interesting hip hop music. Now that I know that you do appreciate like good production, and
Yeah.
that is something that is very important to you, not just the technical rapping ability.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick some cool songs.
Okay. Darren, what did you think of Crack Sandwich?
Okay, song, but not for me.
Cool. Thank you,
Cool.
Darren. Okay, what song do you have for me next week?
All right, next week to kick off spooky season, you're going to listen to Clout Cobain by Denzel Curry. I'm
Nice.
seeing him in concert next week. He's an incredible rapper, and this song, I will give a disclaimer. It deals with suicide and self-harm,
Cool.
and it's a very dark song. There's very dark subject matter. The video is incredible,
Yeah.
but very dark.
Nice.
And yeah, just for how dreary it is, I thought it'd be a good way to kick off spooky season.
All right, that's perfect. My song is going to be completely different. My song is by the amazing band called the B-52s. You might have known their song "Love Shack." That's their biggest hit.
I do know that song.
We're going to listen to a song from earlier on their career called "Rock Lobster," which I'm going to say is going to confound a lot of our listeners because of how silly it is. It is an amazing song. Halloween can be very suspenseful, horror-ish, but it can also be silly. And the B-52s write songs in a very 1950s fashion. Like the two lead singers, their two backup singers both have really high beehive hairdos, and the lead singer kind of looks like a pedophile. They are a very interesting band. So we're going to listen to Rock Lobster by the B-52s.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. And if you're out there and you know that song, you're very excited to hear Nick's reaction to Rock Lobster because it's a weird song.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Silly, weird. The name Rock Lobster. I don't know what I'm about to walk into, but we'll see.
I want you to watch a specific video. There is a video I think that really sums up the band really, really well. It's a live performance, or a taped performance of them pretending to be live. So I want you to watch this video specifically, at least the first time. Then you can listen to the song in any way you want. But I think the first time you hear the song should be from this video because it's a really good representation of what the band look like and how they perform.
Okay, make sure you send me that link.
I will send you that link. So as this is the last episode of the month, we usually do a Who Played It Better, which we take an original song and then we take a cover song and we discuss on who we think played the song better, the original artist or the cover song. Earlier in this month, I got Nick to listen to Tom Waits. Misery is the River of the World, which is a very confronting, kind of difficult song to listen to because Tom Waits is a very interesting singer. And I mentioned that there's a lot of really great covers of Tom Waits songs where people who have beautiful voices change the song completely. So we're going to listen to the Tom Waits version of Misery is a River of the World. Then we're going to listen to a fantastic Irish singer called Camilla Sullivan and her cover version of that song. So Darren, first let's hear the let's get refreshed with the Tom Waits version of the song.
Higher that the monkey can climb, the more he shows his tail.
Great. And now we're going to listen to a little bit of the Camilla Sullivan's version.
The higher that the monkey can climb, the more it shows its tail. Call no man happy till he dies.
Okay. Now, Nick, those are two very different versions. Does that song become a little bit more accessible with the beautiful woman singing it with a beautiful voice?
I actually much prefer Tom Waits' version to this.
Really? Okay.
Much prefer Tom Waits. Yeah. I think the cover is too similar for me. It's very much still in the original style of the song, I think. Yeah. And hearing it in that style, I'd rather just listen to Tom Waits do it.
Okay.
I think what I'm looking for from a cover of this song would be someone going completely different and doing like a really slow, with some really beautiful strings and just some incredible falsetto singing.
Something different.
Something completely different with just the lyrics as a base. Whereas with this cover, I'd rather just listen to Tom Waits, I think.
Okay. I'm going to go with Camilla Sullivan because I saw her perform this song live. And I had never heard this song before until I heard her perform it live. And I loved that performance, her performance so much. She played here in Brisbane, and I saw her at a place called the Powerhouse, and she played this song. She played Leonard Cohen, some Radiohead. She did just nothing but covers through the whole night. And I love that performance so much, so I'm going to go with the Camilla Sullivan performance.
That makes sense. It's nothing like hearing music live like that for the first time.
How about you, Darren? Who are you going for?
The original Tom Waits version, I prefer.
Right. Thank you, Darren. So what are your plans for the rest of the week?
Well, I know it probably sounds like I go to an absurd amount of concerts, but I'm seeing The Weeknd on Friday. Yeah. He added an additional date to his tour. He had to cancel his first Toronto show because it was the day of the great internet and cellular blackout that we had in August, where like Rogers is like our big telecom provider.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, Rogers is like one of the biggest telecom providers in Canada. Their entire network shut down for a day. No one could do anything. The country ground to a halt.
Nice.
That was the day The Weeknd was originally supposed to be here. And the tickets for that show were absurd, like $600 to get in the door at the Rogers Center.
Yeah.
And so he added a new date, like a second date, in addition to the postponed one, and I was able to get tickets for really cheap to see The Weeknd. So I'm pumped for that on Friday.
Where's the show?
It's at the Rogers Center, so where the Blue Jays play, Skydome.
He can fill that, huh?
He can fill 2 days of that and charge like quadruple face value and resale prices.
Yeah, that blows me away. I can't see that personally, but hey, it's a different world, right?
It is a different world, yeah.
It's funny. I had tickets to see Radiohead, and the entire eastern seaboard of North America went down because of a power outage, and their show had to be canceled as well. So that was 2004, 2005, where pretty much the entire eastern seaboard of North America went down. And the Radiohead show was that night. Yeah. So
did they come back?
They did, but I never got to see them. So I can't remember. I couldn't go to the second show, so I never actually saw that show.
Damn, that's a shame.
Which is a bit of a shame. Yeah.
That would have been the In Rainbows tour, wouldn't it?
I think it was. Yeah. No, it wouldn't have been. No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been before that. It would have been around National Anthem, whatever album that was off.
Oh, Kid A.
Yeah, it would have been around Kid A tour.
Damn, so, that's a shame.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I did see them twice. I saw them for OK Computer and the album before OK Computer, which is I'm blanking on at the moment.
The Bends.
So I saw them for those two albums. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good band. So that happened to me similar. Not in your case. You didn't have tickets to the original show, but I had to postpone a Radiohead gig as well.
Yeah, I benefited from the postponing, that second date getting added. And I could actually get a ticket for a retail price, which is increasingly rare nowadays for big artists. It's the face value tickets get bought up and you have to pay quadruple that to a scalper. So it's always nice when that happens.
In 1987, you two were doing a tour. I went there with your dad in 1987. It took me 4 hours to get through on the telephone to get tickets.
Wow. Oh my God.
So think about that. For 4 hours, I called, got a busy signal, hung up, called, got a busy signal, hung up, until I finally got through 4 hours into it and was able to get 2 tickets to see U2 at Exhibition Stadium in 1987. Now I'm a member of the fan club, and to get tickets is the easiest thing in the entire world. So I just literally, they give me a link, I click on the link, I buy tickets.
Yeah, it's definitely a different world.
Yeah. Compared to the 4 hours of constantly dialing on the phone to get tickets. Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. This is even pre Ticketmaster. This was on a company called Bass. that was the Canadian equivalent of Ticketmaster until they got bought out by Ticketmaster.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Bass.
Bass is gone. Yeah, bought out. Cool. So, at the end of every episode, we play a song by an independent artist. Our independent artist this week is a band we've listened to before. They are our favorite Italian punk band called BillyCock. And this song is called Island. And it's about, and I can vouch for this, it's really hard opening up and trying to meet new people and allowing people in. I'm a very introverted type of person. And, it's hard for me to open up and meet new people myself. So this is called Island by BillyCock. Darren, just hit play and we'll talk to you next week.
You've been listening to Just Hit Play. To contact your hosts, Peter and Nick, or to be featured on an episode as musical talent, email justhitplay7300@gmail.com. Keep up to date with news and announcements by following on Instagram and Facebook, linked in the show notes. Subscribe on your favourite podcatcher to tune in next week for more sonic delights. And if you can't wait till then, check out the Just Hit playlist on Spotify, linked in the show notes. A special thanks to Braden Munch for the theme song, and thank you for listening.